Hey, what's going on? My name is Michael. You guys are watching IDB, and in this video we're talking about everything new in iOS 17.1. This is the first major update for iOS 17 since it first came out, and it does include a few nice changes on your iPhone. So let's go ahead and jump in right now. The first major new change in 17.1 has to do with AirDrop. So as you may remember, when Apple first unveiled iOS 17, one of the major new changes was the ability to finish a large AirDrop file over the internet. As you can see here on Apple's website, you can finish sending a transfer even if you walk away from the vicinity of that person. And that is now available in iOS 17.1. Now, I don't have another iPhone to show you how that works in this video, but if you start an AirDrop, it's pretty much going to work the exact same as it would be if you're standing right next to the person. The entire goal with this feature is it just works no matter if you're standing next to the person or if you are a long distance away. Apple is not going to tell you if it's finishing over the internet, it's just going to work in the background. So if you find a photo or anything you want to AirDrop, just click on the share icon, then click on AirDrop. And then say, for example, this is a really long 10-minute video. If you are transferring that file to someone here in AirDrop, you're able to now walk away from that interaction and your phone is going to finish that AirDrop over cellular or Wi-Fi. So this is a really nice feature to have, especially if you're sending very large files to your friends and family over AirDrop. The next feature in 17.1 is an update for standby mode. Standby mode is a new feature that Apple introduced in iOS 17 where you can have your iPhone charging horizontally, whether it's with MagSafe or plugged in, and it's going to show a clock just like this. I use this every single night right next to my bed, and I love this feature. However, when it first came out on iOS 17.0, it was a little bit annoying that on my iPhone 14 Pro Max and now my 15 Pro Max that have an always-on display, that the display was shutting off by itself, and I had to shake the table or tap the screen to get standby mode to turn on. Luckily, we now have a setting here if you go into standby settings, and this is only for iPhone 14 Pro and 15 Pro users. If you click on display, you can see that we now have an option at the top that lets you never turn the display off. So even though these iPhones, the 14 Pro and 15 Pro, had an always-on display, previously the display would simply shut off. But now in 17.1, if you choose never, and then you put your phone into standby mode, it is never going to show a black screen. It is always going to show the standby user interface just like this. Next up is we have a few changes inside of Apple Music. First is that you're now able to favorite a song, an album, and also a playlist. So when you're in your now playing screen for a song, you're going to notice a new icon here on the right-hand side that looks like a star. If you click on this, it's going to add it to your favorites. And what this is going to do is it's going to help the Apple Music algorithm understand what kind of music you like better. So when you go to play your My Favorites mix, it's going to play music that it thinks is better suited for you. And like I said, you can also do this for albums and playlists. So if I press and hold on an album, you can see we now have an option at the bottom to favorite this album. And then if I jump to my playlists, you can also do this for any of your playlists as well by clicking on favorite. And another awesome feature I love inside of playlists is called playlist suggestions. If you click on a playlist that you've already made, so let's pick on my run playlist, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see that we have song suggestions. So the Apple Music algorithm is going to detect the type of music that you have in this playlist, and it's going to use its intelligence to suggest some music that it thinks you'll like. So I'm going to add in this one's my running playlist. I think that will be a good fit. And then you can also click on the refresh button to see a bunch of other songs for your suggested playlist. And then also when you go to edit one of your playlists by clicking on the top right and then edit, you can see that we have a few different options for the image. So we can choose to take a photo or apply an existing photo to this playlist. You can also choose any of these pre-made ones here at the top. So I'll scroll through a few of these, and I think this one is going to be really cool. So I'll click on this one and then done. And this is the new image for my playlist. So a little bit more visually appealing when picking an image for your playlists on Apple Music now. iOS 17.1 also introduces a new feature for those of you who use your own photos as your wallpaper. So probably a bunch of you. If you press and hold on your wallpaper and then go to add a new wallpaper, If you click on Photo Shuffle, we now have the option in 17.1 to choose a specific album that your iPhone can cycle through. So before in iOS 16 and iOS 17.0, you were only able to choose people, nature, or cities, and you didn't really get any say over what photos were in this mode. But now in 17.1, you can choose a specific album, and your iPhone is going to cycle through all of these photos in whatever album you choose. So you can see it defaults to favorites, but if you click on this, you can choose any album in your library. And then you can also choose the frequency. So you can choose every time you lock your phone, every time you tap the screen, every hour, or every day. So this is not new, but you now have the option to choose a specific album to cycle through all of your photos for your wallpaper. So a pretty nice change here. And I'm also noticing something else in 17.1, but I'm not 100% sure if this is new. So this is where I need your guys' help. Let me know in the comments if this is indeed a new feature. But every time I go into Mail now, I'm noticing there's a dictation icon in the text field. And I don't believe that was there in iOS 17.0. I'm also seeing it in a bunch of other places around iOS. So for example, inside of music, you can see now in every text field, there is a shortcut to use dictation. I know that this was here for Safari. So every time you'd open up a blank Safari page, that dictation icon is there in the bottom right corner, but I don't know if this has always been here. I especially noticed it when I first opened Mail for the first time. So like I said, let me know in the comments if this is indeed a new feature. Another change in 17.1, which I really appreciate, is for all iPhones that have the dynamic island, it's now going to show the flashlight icon at the top. Now, this was already here by default on the iPhone 15 Pro, but for some reason, when iOS 17 came out, this was not here for the iPhone 14 Pro, which didn't really make sense because that phone also has the island. So here on 17.1, when you have your flashlight on, for all iPhones that have the island at the top, it's now going to indicate if your flashlight is on. The next update in 17.1 is for those of you who are in the UK that use Apple Pay. iOS 17.1 now supports the ability to link your bank account inside of Apple Pay. So for some supported banks and cards, you're able to see your card balance right inside of the wallet application. This is going to be great for those of you who use debit cards, for example. You can now see the balance of your card right inside of Wallet without opening up another application. And there also are a bunch of other bug fixes in 17.1. So apparently some users of the iPhone 15 Pro were having some issues with burn-in or persistent screen images on the iPhone. People thought that this was a bad side effect of the OLED display, but apparently this is just a bad bug in iOS 17. So if any of you had that issue with burn-in or image persistency on the iPhone 15 Pro, that is now going to be fixed in 17.1. And another bug that's fixed in 17.1 is the laggy keyboard bug. Now, I personally experienced this bug on iOS 17.0. When 17.0.3 came out, I didn't have the issue anymore, but apparently some people were still complaining about the laggy keyboard. And here in iOS 17.1, Apple has apparently fixed the issue where the keyboard was lagging behind for those of you who type really fast on the iPhone. And then the final update in 17.1 is for the iPhone 12 in France. Apparently the iPhone 12 was having higher than expected radiation levels, which definitely is not a good thing. But apparently in iOS 17.1, all of those radiation concerns on the iPhone 12 in France have now been fixed. So that is everything new in iOS 17.1. This is by no means a groundbreaking update, but it does bring a few nice changes to the iPhone. I personally like all of the changes inside of music. I like that I can now change my artwork for my playlists, and also being able to favorite a song is quite nice. And I also really enjoy the updates to standby mode, because what's the point of having an iPhone that has an always-on display if the display is going to turn off anyways? So now having the option to have my 15 Pro always stay on in standby is a really nice change. So I want you guys to head down into the comments and tell me your favorite new feature in iOS 17.1. And also, if you enjoyed this video, please drop us a like. It does help us out quite a bit. With all that said, my name is Michael. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.